Husband promises a family trip B. He was crap father, but then he changes his mind and tells me this. The day Mark promised us a family trip, I was folding laundry in our cramped living room, the kind of chore that numbs your soul while the kids' laughter echoes like a distant dream. He burst through the door, tie loose, eyes wild, declaring, "We're going to Hawaii." Jenna, making this right, I froze. A faded onesie in my hands because Mark's promises were like cheap fireworks, bright for a second, then ash. For years, he'd been a ghost in our family, chasing promotions while I raised Lily and Max alone. Their questions about Daddy's absence sharper than any knife. But this time, his voice cracked with something raw, and I let myself believe him. Maybe he'd finally seen the hole he'd left in us. Maybe this trip was his redemption. I should have known better. Mark's apologies always came with a catch, and this one would gut me. Lily, our 15-year-old, was skeptical from the start. She'd stopped trusting her father's grand gestures after he missed her piano recitals for client dinners, her brown eyes hardening each time he swore he'd make it up. Max, only 8, still clung to hope, his gap-toothed grin lighting up at the word Hawaii. He'd been gluing seashell pictures in a scrapbook ever since Mark mentioned the trip, babbling about snorkeling and volcanoes. I didn't have the heart to tell him his father's promises were as fragile as those shells. For weeks, we planned. Lily reluctantly picked out swimsuits. Max drew maps of Oahu, and I budgeted every cent from my part-time job to cover what Mark's big surprise wouldn't. He swore he'd handle the rest, his new bonus covering flights and a beachfront condo. "I've been a crap father," he admitted one night, his voice low, "but this trip will fix us." I wanted to believe him. For the kid, for the family we used to dream of being. The night before we were supposed to book the tickets, Mark came home late, his face pale, his suit rumpled like he'd been wrestling his conscience. I was at the kitchen table, spreadsheets open, calculating how to stretch our grocery budget for Lay's and sunscreen. Lily was in her room, probably texting her friends about how her dad would flake again, and Max was asleep, clutching a toy surfboard. Mark didn't meet my eyes as he dropped his briefcase. "Jen," he said, his voice flat, "we need to talk." My stomach sank. Those words never led anywhere good. He sat across from me, his hands fidgeting, and I braced myself for the excuse: work emergency, budget cuts, anything but what he actually said. "I can't do the trip. I'm leaving." "Jen, I've been seeing someone else." The words hit like a slap, sharp and disorienting. I stared at him, the man I'd loved since college, the one who'd promised forever in a backyard wedding with paper lanterns. What I whispered, my voice barely holding. He looked away, his jaw tight. "Her name's Claire. She's different. She makes me feel alive again." Alive. The word burned. I'd spent 16 years keeping our family alive through late-night fevers, Lily's rebellion, Max's asthma attacks while he chased alive in boardrooms, and now, apparently, with her. "What about the kids?" I asked, my voice shaking. "What about Hawaii?" He shrugged. Actually shrugged and said, "They'll get over it. You're good at handling them." That's when I snapped. "Handling them, they're not chores. Mark, they're your children." My shout woke Max, who shuffled in, rubbing his eyes. "Is Daddy still taking us to Hawaii?" he asked, his voice small. Mark didn't answer. He just grabbed his keys and left. The next morning, Lily found me crying over cold coffee. She didn't say anything, just hugged me, her silence louder than any words. She'd known somehow that her father's promises were smoke. Max, though, was shattered. "Why doesn't Daddy want to go?" he asked, his scrapbook open to a half-finished page of palm trees. I didn't know how to explain that their father wasn't just abandoning a trip, he was abandoning us. I tried to keep it together. For them. I told them we'd still go somewhere. Maybe not Hawaii, but somewhere fun. Lily rolled her eyes but helped Max pack away his seashells, her way of protecting him. I called my sister, Rachel, who offered her cabin by Lake Tahoe. "It's not the beach," when she said, "but it's yours for the week." I grabbed that lifeline, determined to give my kids something to hold on to. even if it wasn't the dream Mark had dangled. Packing for Tahoe felt like salvaging wreckage. Every swimsuit, every sunscreen bottle reminded me of the trip that wasn't. Lily stayed quiet, her earbuds in, but I caught her sketching a beach in her notebook, her pencil strokes angry. Max kept asking if Daddy would join us later, and I lied, saying, maybe. I couldn't tell him his father was probably with Claire, starting a new life while ours crumbled. The drive to Tahoe was long, the kids bickering in the back seat, but the mountain air felt like a reset. Rachel's cabin was small, with creaky floors and a view of the lake that sparkled like a promise. I vowed to make this work. We'd hike, swim, roast marshmallows, anything to drown out Mark's betrayal. The first day, we hiked to Emerald Bay, the kids trailing behind me. Max collected pine cones, his chatter about volcanoes replaced by questions about fish. Lily lagged, her phone out, but I saw her pause to watch the sunset, her face softening. That night, we sat by the fire, and I told them stories about my childhood camping trips, leaving out the part where my own dad left when I was Lily's age. I didn't want them to feel that legacy, but Lily, sharp as ever, asked, "Mom, are you and Dad getting divorced?" The question hung in the air, heavy as the smoke. I swallowed. "I don't know, sweetheart, but we're here now, and we're enough." She nodded, her eyes glistening, and Max crawled into my lap. For the first time in weeks, I felt like we might survive this. By day 3, the kids were laughing again. Max caught his first fish, a tiny trout he named Bubbles, and Lily even smiled when we released it back into the lake. We built a fort out of blankets in the cabin, and for a moment, it was just us, our little unit, stronger than I'd realized. But Mark's shadow lingered. Late at night, I'd check my phone, hoping for an apology, a sign he'd come to his senses. Instead, I found a text from him. "I'm moving out next week. Claire's place is closer to work." I wanted to scream, to throw the phone into the lake, but I just sat there, numb. He wasn't just breaking a promise, he was rewriting our family without us. The turning point came on the last night. Lily found an old photo album in the cabin, filled with pictures of Rachel's family trips. She flipped through it, her fingers lingering on a photo of a couple laughing by a campfire. "Is this what families are supposed to be?" she asked, her voice brittle. I took a deep breath. "Families are what we make them. Lily, your dad made his choice, but we get to choose too." She looked at me, her eyes searching, and said, "I choose us." Max, half asleep, mumbled, "Me too." I hugged them both, tears falling, and realized we didn't need Hawaii or Mark to be whole. We had each other. When we got home, Mark's stuff was gone, the house emptier but somehow lighter. I sat the kids down and told them the truth, not about Claire, not yet, but that Daddy wouldn't be living with us anymore. Max cried, but Lily just nodded, her jaw set. "We'll be okay, Mom," she said, and I believed her. We started rebuilding, one day at a time. I took on extra shifts. Lily got a part-time job, and Max drew pictures of Tahoe instead of Hawaii. We weren't perfect, but we were ours. Months later, Mark called, asking to see the kids. I let them decide. Lily refused, her hurt too raw, but Max wanted to try. When Mark showed up, he looked smaller, his confidence gone. He tried to joke about Hawaii, but Max cut him off. "We went to Tahoe," he said proudly. "It was better." Mark's face fell, and for the first time, I saw him feel the weight of what he'd lost. I didn't gloat, I just felt sad for him, for the family he'd thrown away. Looking back, I see now that Mark's broken promise wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something stronger. We learned to lean on each other, to find joy in the small things, a lake, a fish, a fort. I don't know if Mark will ever understand what he gave up, but I know we're better without him. Life isn't a postcard from Hawaii. It's the messy, beautiful moments we build together. And we're building something good. What do you think? Was Mark wrong to break his promise? Or was he just being honest about who he is? Share your thoughts. I'd love to hear where you stand.